Welcome to another fantastic episode this morning here on Propulsion Live. Today, I'm joined by Kim Potgieter and excited to chat to Kim. She also hosts one of the regular segments, but today her and I are really getting stuck into a very particular topic around midlife and a few other things as well. And we're really looking forward to a fantastic discussion. In my opinion, she's really a leader when it comes to life planning and sort of all the other things that go with that. She's really spending a lot of time in terms of upskilling herself and really getting to understand and then use it in practice, which really makes it useful from my perspective. So we're going to talk about how we can help guide our clients through this challenging midlife phase of their lives. And an interesting question we'll answer in that. But we're going to look at some common myths and share some truths and also explore some strategies to help clients find meaning and purpose during this pivotal stage of their life. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Propulsion Live. Looking forward to a great episode. Good morning. Warm welcome back. Looking forward to a fantastic episode. As I mentioned in the intro, it's cold, but the sun is shining. It's absolutely amazing down in Cape Town. Tomorrow, I see temperatures are really going up. So, we'll definitely be out and about, I'm pretty sure. Warm welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us live. If you're watching on demand, thank you so much as well. And we really appreciate it. And remember to participate in the chat and say hi to each other. And if you're watching the recording, just, leave some thoughts in the comments. That'll be fantastic. So what are we talking about today? Well, I've got my guest, Kim Potgieter. We're going to talk about midlife and a few other things around that. Some really interesting insights and things that you're going to hear from us today. So looking forward to that conversation with her later on in the show. But also we have Nikki McDonald back today to do the news, share with us all the latest news from the profession. And then I'm going to run a new segment called Professional Practice 10.0. I'll tell you a little bit more about that and sort of what we're going to do in that segment. I'm going to do that and then a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to get into the conversation with Kim. So thank you very much. We're also giving away 2 books today again. So at the end, we'll do a live lucky draw. I'll give you the hashtag a little bit later. And then when you enter that hashtag into the chat, so unfortunately only for people who's here live, and then you'll be entered into the draw automatically. So with that, let me say a warm good morning very briefly to everyone. Thank you so much for saying hi. So Kobus saying hi from MDRT in Dubai. I've got Terence saying good morning. Terence won the first Financial Advisors Playbook last week. So let's see who's going to be this week. Nico van Wyk, good morning. Elna Stein, good morning. Goeiemorgen. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Jan van Eysten, goeiemorgen. We've got Neil Phillips. Good morning, Neil. Hope you're doing well. Ferdi, good morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Salome, good morning as well. Thank you for being here. Cindy, good morning. Nice to see you. Excuse me, Dr. Rufaru. I hope you're doing well. Nice to see you as well. Frank Agliotti, Mr. Frank, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. Sorry, sir. Francis, good morning. Koba says it's 41 degrees in Dubai. Absolutely fantastic, or not so fantastic. Nasima, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a cold morning in Durban. Now, I'm like, when it's cold in Cape Town, it's like, I don't know, at the moment, it's apparently something like 5 degrees, right? Durban cold, 20. So it is a little bit different, but it's hectic in Durban. I spoke to Liana yesterday as well. Moleboheng, good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And then Mary, thank you so much for joining us as well. And on that note, ladies and gents, let's get the show started. Here's Nikki with the news.
Good morning, everybody. And yes, also a cold Johannesburg where that cold front is only hitting us now. So we'll be cold for the next 2 days or so. Welcome to Money Smart Week. This runs this week from the 26th of August to the 1st September. Now, what is Money Smart Week? It is South Africa's largest coordinated financial literacy campaign that is aimed at motivating and empowering South Africans to become more educated about their finances. It is an initiative of the what we call the NCFEC. Now, that is the National Consumer Financial Education Committee. It's a terrible acronym. A committee that is established to secure active involvement, collaboration, and coordination of various stakeholders in consumer financial education and is chaired by National Treasury. Now, FPI is part of this committee, and I must give kudos to Rihanna, who's really been working very, very hard on Money Smart Week, not just for FPI, but for the greater good of the industry. So, what did we do this week? We are focusing on our social media, on consumer education. We also had 2 webinars for consumers that were fairly well attended, that is for free, just to do some work in the consumer education space from financial planning perspective. And then on Wednesday, we also attended the FSCA Financial Education Summit. So, this inaugural summit had the theme of creating accessible financial education for all in South Africa. It brought together leaders and decision makers within the financial sector to chart a coordinated way forward towards improved delivery of high impact financial education. They developed a draft financial education commitment charter. Now, this draft charter is available on the FSCA's website. And this charter sets out financial education commitments for leaders and decision makers to consider. So the FSCA is aiming for this final charter once all the feedback has been received and all the communication has happened to be signed by CEOs, and that most recognize the importance of financial education in supporting the financial health and well-being of their customers. Comment on this charter is open until November. Now, what happened at the summit? It included speakers and panelists from the FSCA, internationally from the OECD, CEOs and representatives of some of the large financial institutions, as well as the Department of Basic Education, who gave an update on how financial education is currently included in the school curriculum and how it's going to be included in the school curriculum going forward. So there is some movement in this space, and we're really excited about it. This event also showcased that collaboration is so very necessary in the financial education space in South Africa. And hopefully, the activities that stem from the summit will achieve what is envisioned. So go have a look on their website, read through the comment on the charter, and there is still time open until the end of November to actually comment on the initial document. Let's hope this works. This can really be an enormous change and betterment for South Africans in general. And then I can't believe I'm saying this, but Two-Pot is almost here. As we all know, Sunday, the 1st of September, is the big date, but I'm guessing it'll probably only hit from Monday, where people can start withdrawing their seeding capital that will go into their savings pot. Big banks, asset managers, and economists are expecting withdrawals from the savings pot of pensions totaling between 50 billion rand and 100 billion rand in the first year. And this is not all bad because many agree that it could provide another tonic to economic growth. South Africa's largely consumer driven economy is likely to get a financial stimulus from Two-Pot withdrawals as the new pension system takes effect from September. Now, speaking at a media roundtable on Wednesday, ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking senior economist Miyelani Maluleke said that the bank is forecasting 44 billion in early withdrawals linked to the Two-Pot system from September to the end of the year, and then another 34 billion by August 2025. And this totals 78 billion in the first year. Meanwhile, Standard Bank Group owned asset manager Stanlib has a more conservative Two-Pot related withdrawals forecast of around 50 billion in the first year, but it still expects the withdrawals to stimulate the SA economy. So, from the FBI, we wish the retirement fund administrators, investment platform administrators, and also SARS good luck for the next few weeks in the deluge of claims that will probably hit you. But most importantly, to our members, our financial planners, and financial advisors out there who have the most important job of keeping your clients true to their goals and objectives and helping to make them good financial decisions in this time. And then lastly, just another comment on Leader X. We're almost there on the 10th of September, so it's in 2 weeks' time. Please come and join us at the Sandton Convention Center for a day of thought leadership, consumer education, information about financial planning from the FBI stand at Leader X. Entrance is free if you book at leaderx.com with the FBI promo code, which is capital letters FPI and then small letters guest. If you need that information, please, you can let me know directly if you need more information on LeaderX, and we would love to see you there. It is always a wonderful day filled with good talks, networking, and most importantly, reaching consumers at the level that they are at. So that is it from FBI. Have a wonderful weekend and see you on Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Yeah, good luck indeed to everyone involved in administering Tupot. It's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully it goes well. So next up, the brand new segment on Professional Practice 10.0. I'll tell you a little bit more about that after the intro. So some of you, many of you, in fact, have completed our scorecard called Professional Practice 10.0. And this scorecard is aimed at sort of helping you identify areas where you might be able to focus and to better your business and to build your practice and grow your practice further. And obviously, what we are able to see in the back end is all of those sort of outcomes combined. So we're getting a great view around sort of where a lot of people might be struggling or where people are really doing well. It's not always about struggling. It's also about seeing, wow, this people have really got a hold of and a hang off, and that's fantastic. So what I'm going to do in this segment every fourth week is to sort of just delve maybe into one of those questions that we ask and sort of look at the responses and or the outcomes, rather, the overall results, and then talk a little bit about that specific thing in order to maybe give you some guidelines of what you are able to do. So the first question I want to tackle, and there's like 27 questions, as is in my nature, I'm already looking at expanding that, but for now, we're leaving it at 27. So this is not the first question. I'm not going down in order to do this. And but the first question that I want to tackle today is, do you successfully make use of digital marketing to promote your practice? And it includes social media, but also digital marketing. And we should be clear around that there's a difference between social media and digital marketing, because digital marketing encompasses everything that's digital. It's not only social media. Social media is one of the ways. But as you can see, that the far majority of people are either saying no or maybe. Now, unfortunately, in the system, we always have a maybe. We can't say sometimes or somewhat or anything like that. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, a very small percentage are actually saying that they're doing this really well. And the majority of us are not really getting the most use out of that. In fact, the majority said no. Right. So one of the biggest things that we often see is that people are really struggling with prospecting and lead generation and finding new clients or entering new markets and those kinds of things. So digital media is a medium, obviously, that is free to all of us to use for the most part of it, but it does take a lot of effort. It's also a very long-term game that you play. It's not a quick win. So there are other things you can do that will give you quicker wins, but digital is more of a long-term game, and it helps you build reputation and credibility and all those kinds of things. So the sooner you get started, the better. And there's obviously different ways. So I just want to give you 5 very, very quick, very, very short tips, not in detail, but just 5 things that can maybe get you started, seeing that the majority of us are really struggling with this. And it is something that I think that we really need to consider as part of our marketing strategy. It can't be your only marketing strategy, but it definitely has to be a big part of it. So the first one is obviously, I think the biggest mistake that I see people make when we do start creating, content and things that go out on the internet, whether it's on our websites or whether it is on our social media platforms or wherever it may be, is that we don't know who we're talking to. And we often find that we are talking to our peers instead of our clients or our ideal clients. So you really want to look at, who is your target audience? Who are you talking to? Like, who is it that you want to reach? And also then realize that those people might be in very different stages of their lives. You'll have on the one extreme people who have no idea that they have a problem, nor that you exist, nor that there's a solution to their problem. So they absolutely, you don't know what you don't know. On the other hand, you have people who they know that there's a problem, they know that there's a solution, but they don't know that you're the one that is able to provide that solution. Or maybe they know they have a problem, but they don't know what the solution is and they don't know who can help them. So you've also got to think about sort of, how do I talk to those different kinds of people along those lines? You don't just want to have the same message blasted all over the place. We really got to talk to very specific people. And also, I think a very important part is obviously making sure that you reach them where they are in terms of like where they spend their time, where their attention is, but also just as much where they are in their journey. So you've got to be clear on defining your target audience. So the second one is create valuable content. And there's this notion between, give everything away for free and charge for implementation. One of my icons that I really rate highly is very big on that. I, on the other hand, says, well, there needs to be a balance, like with most things in life. But the content that you create must not say a lot of things without saying anything, right? I hope you get that. So it mustn't be just waffling on. It mustn't just be saying a lot of great words but there's nothing that the person can take away from it. There's no next step. There's no nothing. So you really want to look at creating valuable content and rather create less content of a high quality than you create a lot of content that is of a lower quality or that has no value for that matter. Again, some people will disagree with me because they feel like the more you get out there, it's about seeing it a lot. It's almost like seeing the same billboard 5 times on the highway as you drive versus just seeing it once. Obviously, it'll take longer. So quantity does have an impact, but the quality, I think, is more important. The way that you write it, whether it connects, whether it speaks that person's language, whether it's aimed at the right person, all of that stuff, I think, matters more than just throwing out a lot of things. Otherwise, we can just put flyers in the U magazine and let that be distributed, right? So that's sort of the other part of it. Social media platforms are important to leverage. I saw someone, I don't know how this happened. Like I clicked on something and I didn't mean to go to X, but I did land up on X. And I just saw this person say, like, she can't wait that she's built this business and never have to go back onto LinkedIn ever again. But the fact of the matter is you're on X, and X is 10 times worse than LinkedIn, in my opinion. So again, a personal opinion, but ultimately we've got to leverage these social media platforms and we've got to understand, where do our clients spend their time? Is it on the social media platforms? Because if your client base are not on social media, you're going to waste your time unless you're looking for new clients, and those new clients, and you want to enter a new market, they spend their time on there. But that's where you need to be. It's not what I feel comfortable with. It is not what you feel comfortable with. It is like, where is your target audience? So you've got to leverage that. And the beauty is that you can create one piece of content that you can use across all of those social media platforms in different ways. I see now with LinkedIn has got a new video feature that pretty much works like reels and shorts and stuff. But people are now just uploading their TikTok videos there. And I'm like, oh my word, please don't do that. You've got to create the content or edit the content so that it fits for that. I don't want to see the TikTok logo, for example, on LinkedIn. I really don't care. But I also assume that people want to drive people to their TikTok platform, like we want to drive people to YouTube and not to other platforms mainly. It might be a similar strategy. So, But leveraging multiple social media platforms is really important because people can see the same thing more than once in different locations, which is also important. Then you've got to engage consistently. If somebody does comment or does like or whatever on your posts or your content, then you've got to respond. But also, you also need to respond to their content. And unfortunately, very few people are actually, well, fortunately as well, but it seems like everybody's creating content. But I think it's about 1% of people that are really creating content. The rest is consuming the content. So we got to think about that. And in that same vein, just jumping back quickly to the quality, is that just remember that a lot of people are there's so much content out there and people feel overwhelmed. So how can we create content that really takes it to the next level and it stands out from the rest? And particularly now with AI helping us to create some of the content, people can create at a scale that they've never been able to create before. But our ability to consume that content has not gone up. So we've got to think about that. Then my last thing is you've got to use analytics to refine your strategy, look at the data, see what's working, what's not working, and adjust accordingly. So don't be afraid. You did not waste time. You learned. So very important. So those are my 5 tips for the first professional practice 10.0. If you want to do the assessment yourself, you'll find the link down below in the description. And you get a fantastic report that is customized based on your inputs and your answers. So it's not a generic report, and it gives you some valuable tips and ideas of what you can implement in your business. So thank you very much. Alrighty, so let's do a couple of quick announcements and give you that hashtag so that you can enter to win one of 2 books today. Alrighty, so the first book we'll give away today, again, is the Financial Advisor's Playbook. So last week, Terence won the first book, and he already received it. So I'm not going to show his picture today, but he has sent me a nice picture, so thank you very much, Terence. It's really an amazing book. I am confident that next week this book is going to be on Takealot. We're just waiting for them to list it. Everything's been done and sent in, and then you'll be able to order the book on Takealot and get it delivered. It's not like overnight, unfortunately, because we do print these on demand. So as your order comes through, the printing company will print it and ship it off to you. So it might take a couple of days, but it's well worth it. And to hold this book in your hand is something completely different. It's also available on Amazon, so you can get it, the digital version on there. But the physical copy is going out on Takealot, and we'll also release it later internationally. We've already got quite a few people interested in the book overseas, so we'll probably do exactly the same thing. But you've got to be able to win that book. So hashtag Playbook in the chat, and you will automatically be entered into the draw to win that book. All right. So let's move on to the next one. Let me take that off. Then first things first, so we are relaunching TaxSpace. TaxSpace is our software that I created a couple of years ago, well, 2017 to be exact. And a lot of people think that TaxSpace is about tax and analyzing tax, and absolutely it does that. It comes up with up to 9 opportunities for your client to really think about financial planning, and for you to talk to them about financial planning from a different perspective, and just having new information to present to a client. So it really helps in that regard. But it's a massive business enablement tool. It's a tool that helps you generate revenue without having to implement a policy or an investment or a strategy or anything like that. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that. We'll also be talking to some of our users that have really been getting a lot of value from this, so that they can explain to you firsthand exactly how they use it. And we're going to show you all the neat new things that we've got. We've implemented some of the feedback that we've gotten, and we've also launching some new tools that will be included in the system on Tuesday. So we did send out an email. I don't think the link is down below actually to register for this, but I will add it after the show. So if you want to come back, otherwise just check out my LinkedIn, or you can also, if you're on our email list, you would have gotten an email yesterday. So that's TaxSpace being relaunched, the new version, and really excited about that. Then our day of CPD is taking place on the 11th of September. Please join us for that. We've got an incredible agenda up. Again, all the details are on our website, and also the links are down below in the description. You can find all the information. PROpulsion members attend for free. You just need to go onto the PROpulsion platform and find the link to go and register. You've got a separate link with your own things, so you can do that. But for people who are not members, you can purchase tickets to attend the day of CPD. And the whole purpose of it is to help everybody who does this and who attend live to be able to earn their CPD by the end of February already, so that they don't get to say, oh, I still need points by the end. I know lots of you don't need points already, but there's also many who do. So that's the whole point behind that. And then on the 9th of October, we've got Ascend. We've got a fantastic agenda. I'm so excited for this. I know there's lots of things going on at the moment and multiple other events, and it happens more and more where the same, or not the same, but where events happen on the same day. With the day of CPD, I had someone saying, oh, Alan Gray's got a 2-day thing, and this one's got that, and that one's got that. It's the nature of the beast. We all have choice. So it depends on what's most appropriate to you at that particular point, or at this particular point in time. But we've got some fantastic things available there. So we'll send out some more information next week. And then the Excel program, or Excel program, I don't mean the software. I mean the training program that we're running with Liana for our members. The last session is up next week, and next week we will end up with a dashboard for practices and things. So really excited for that. It's been 5 weeks have just flown by, and next week is the 6th week. And again, this was completely free for our members to attend. A lot of valuable stuff that we do in PROpulsion. So if you haven't checked it out yet, the link is also down below. But you can just visit our website and find out more what other benefits you get from being a member of PROpulsion. All right, so that's that. I've just one quick last time. Here's the hashtag. So hashtag playbook in order to enter the draw. So please comment hashtag playbook. And on that note, if you haven't subscribed yet, we're getting closer and edging closer, slowly but surely, to 2,000. So help us get there. If you find value, if you don't find value, don't subscribe. If you find value, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but it's really, it's one of those motivating factors for us as well. And it also helps us when we ask people to be guests on the show. It does make a difference. So if you want to see some people on the show who we haven't had yet, help us out in that way. At the very least, please hit the like button if you like this, and share it with other people as well in your business or colleagues and people that you work with. We'd greatly appreciate that. Right, enough with the marketing. Let's get into today's topic with Kim Potgieter. Morning, Kim. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Francois. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, at least you're no stranger, right? Like, this is now like you're used to being in the studio and you're used to talking or seeing my face. So yeah, it's fantastic to have you. I'm really looking forward to a great discussion. Just for everybody's benefit, we ran also a 6-week program on PROpulsion with Kim on Client Connection. We call it the Client Connection Masterclass. A brilliant series, which is available if you're in the platform, because we did record that series with her that we presented live. But one of the topics was this whole thing on midlife, and it has absolutely blown my mind. I mean, there was a couple of them that asked Kim. I was almost in tears talking to her afterwards with 2 of them. But it was really amazing, Kim, to have you do that. So thank you very much for doing that. I do want to just maybe, just a brief, who's Kim, what are Kim's passions and what drives Kim to do what Kim does. And just maybe a little bit of background before we get started.
Well, Francois, I thought you were going to do that.
Not today.
So, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm a financial planner, a proud CFP professional. I've been in the industry for 17 years now. I often think I've just joined the industry because it feels like I've just joined the industry. I've had such a good time in this industry. I absolutely love everything to do with financial planning. And the reason that I love everything to do with financial planning is because I get to help people. And I think with all the people that I've met through that time, whether it's clients, whether it's fellow financial planners, the fact that we get to make a difference in the world, and the fact that we get to touch our clients' lives, talking about a topic like money, which is such a taboo topic. And that is what I've really, why I came into the industry was to help people with their relationships with money, and kind of thought I would be a psychologist. I have the background to be a psychologist. I have the training, but then I realized that I, first of all, couldn't give advice to anybody being a psychologist, and I love giving advice. And secondly, I also realized that people don't go to a psychologist to talk about money. They go to a financial planner. And that's why I had a midlife re-study and join this industry. And as I said before, it's something I not only love, but I'm very passionate about. I've written 2 books on the topic, one on retirement and one on midlife money makeover. And the way and the reason, I mean, Francois was talking about getting your message out there through social media. I did see that getting my message out through books was a way that I could reach a much broader audience than just the clients that were coming in to see me. So Francois, I think that's enough about me. Let's get into this topic.
Yeah, awesome. Kim, yeah, I have to mention this, and I'm sorry, like I don't want to make you feel like it's too much of a spotlight. But the other day I was busy researching some things, and I was actually busy on Perplexity. So Perplexity is an AI platform that is more like an AI search. So it's much better than Google in many respects. And I was asking it certain questions and then coming up with certain ideas. And then I said, okay, so who would be the thought leaders, that are based in South Africa that I could consider talking to about this? And Kim's name came up, which I sent to you, Kim. Like I did tell you, like, this is incredible that AI is finding you. And that's testament to, if you look at what Kim has done from a marketing perspective and from a building a brand and the website, the content and things that she creates, that's why. And I think there's many opportunities in that. So I'm going to leave that at that. But I just wanted to say, like, Kim, well done on the work that you've been doing on building your brand, putting the business out there, putting yourself out there, and sort of the results that this is playing. It's definitely going to pay big dividends in the future as well. So obviously,
also,
you're all
can
about
I add something there? And I was listening to your part, and I mean, and that the brand and the digital marketing. And the one thing that I just wanted to add was, you always have to make sure, well, this is something that's been important for me, that whatever I was putting out there, whatever I wanted to put out there, I could deliver on. Because I think so many times we see what people are posting and we think we should be doing it too. But make sure that it's, first of all, in alignment with your values. And then secondly, that you can deliver on it. Because I think the biggest mistake we make is putting out stuff that we can't deliver on. And that's why, for me, it's more important that you spend time working out what your message is before you start putting it all out there, so that you've got that clarity, so that you're coming across not only with meaningful content, but also with authentic content.
Thank you. That's so valuable. Thanks very much, Kim. So let's get into the conversation. You've got a big thing for transforming people's relationships with money. Now, usually what I've seen in the past is that when somebody has such a very clear and strong mission and purpose, there's usually a story behind it. Do you have a story like that made you sort of say, well, this is why I'm going down this path, and this is why I want to help people transform their relationship with money?
Francois, of course. I mean, the thing that often drives us when we do this kind of work, where we put so much time and effort into it, is a personal journey. And I needed to go on a personal journey for myself with my relationship with money to heal myself. And then while I was on that journey, healing myself and working out a whole lot of things, obviously I felt this calling, if you could call it that, to share what I was experiencing, what I'd found. And also, I mean, as I've gone on through the years, as you can hear, I've been doing this now for a long time. I've met so many people with a similar relationship with money to me, and if not the same as mine, it was in a different form. So yes, it has been personal, and it really stemmed from my childhood. I mean, I often share that our relationship with money comes from our childhoods, Most of the time it's formed by the age of 7 that we've got it, but most of us aren't conscious that, first of all, we have a relationship with money, and secondly, we're not conscious of the biases and the beliefs we've picked up. But mine as a little girl, I lived in a dysfunctional home around money. My father earned all the money. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. My father controlled us with money. It's my late dad now, but, often when I look back and I think of things that I thought as a child that were normal, they absolutely aren't normal. We had our telephone locked. We had those old-fashioned phones where you could put locks on it. My father had the meat in a deep freeze in the garage. He used to give it out to us. And he always controlled my mom with a kind of, here's some money for you, here's some money, and not when she was needing it, but when he felt it was time to give her. And for me, I made little pacts with myself as a young teenager that no person was ever going to control me with money. No person was ever going to have this kind of power on. And at times I thought my mom was weak because she was allowing this to happen. And, when you're young, you can't work it all out. And then as I started my journey of healing, just realizing that for my father, money was control, and it was his insecurities, and that we were caught up in it. And it became very much for me to put it, what was a belief, what was my reality. I mean, even in my own marriage, sometimes years later, I'll have moments where I feel like my husband's trying to control me with money. And most times it's not. It's like triggers that were coming from my childhood. So, that's why I am so passionate about it. And when I meet families and we have discussions, it's always nice to hear their good things that they've learned from their childhoods. And then often it's also challenges that they've learned from their childhoods. And I combine it in every part of financial planning that I do, because for me, that's the foundation of getting people to stick to their plans, stick to their new habits that they're bringing in, and understand where money fits into their lives.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that, Kim. It is it's deeply personal. So thank you very much for that. And I think, it's really I just had a thought about something very specific, because I've thought about this quite a lot. Like my relationship with money, for example. And there's something that just dawned on me now, which I'm not going to share now, because otherwise I'm going to maybe having to. Oh, there's a box. So I would have been fine. But it's really it's really powerful to have these understandings. But I think also what I take away from that is that you have to spend time on this, and you've got to think about, and you've got to work through this. It's not that's how life is. It's not what it is. And I think for many of our clients, they might feel that this is, as you said, it's normal. Like that, if you never take the time to spend the time to really learn about this, or to figure out why certain things are happening, you're going to think that this is normal. One of the things that you do very often, very regularly, I think the very first time I came to learn of you was pretty much around the time when you visited Brene Brown, because I think that was when I saw that kind of things. And then I just saw like you keep on doing these things where you go and meet with other visionaries and mentors and people who teach things all over the world. Buying the book and reading the book is not enough for you. You want to go and spend time with them. And I'm really curious just to learn, how have those experiences really shaped your approach to financial planning and also life coaching?
Yeah, I am the course queen, Francois. the course queen. I love going on courses. I love reading. I love learning. And the most important part for me about learning is the sharing part. So I don't just learn to keep the information. I learn so that I can share it. So I'll just take us back a little bit. When I was working out how I fitted into the financial planning industry, because I was hired as an administrator and I was a really bad administrator. So I had to find, a different way of doing this. And at that time, John Campbell, my business partner, had picked up a book called The Next Step by Roy Delaberta, who was the head of the FPA. He picked it up when he won Financial Planner of the Year and he was in the States, and he brought it back. And that was probably when we start talking about this, that was my beginning moment of actually reading books, phoning authors, and then going and seeing them. Because when I read this book, And I saw everything Roy Delaberta was speaking about, and how you do life planning and how you put the client in the center of everything you do. It was everything I'd been thinking, but I didn't really know, like how to do it. And he'd written it in a book. And yeah, I did. I contacted him and I said, Roy, I'm in South Africa. He was in Philadelphia. Could I come and see you? And he was incredible. He let us come into his business. He showed us everything that he did in his business. And basically through him, I met Mitch Anthony. And then, I also spent time with him. But that was my financial planning part and the life planning that you're talking about, that I then brought back and into the business. And yeah, for anybody who'll listen to me, I just love to share that work on life planning. And then as the journey was going on and I was working with clients, I realized that there was a way more emotional connection to money. So I didn't do it the mainstream way. It wasn't just always going to financial planning conferences. I then, obviously with the reading, I'd read Brené Brown's books. She's written 7 books. And at that time, I started with this Daring Greatly. And then after I'd read all her books, I did a lot of her online courses. And then I was fortunate enough to apply and go to the States and spend a week with her in Texas and learn all around our vulnerability and our shame. And what I've come back and I've applied that to money. And I've also applied that just to our everyday relationships. And it filters through not only in our company, but it also filters through into our clients' lives. Another great one that I did, and it goes with that last question that you were talking about now, with our money memory, is I read a book called Money Story. And again, I pick up the book. I think it was Loaded, and it was written by, I can't even remember the author. She mentioned David Kruger. I then found David Kruger's books. I read David Kruger's book. It resonated for me. This was what we needed as financial planners. And also, again, flew to the States, and I learned from David Kruger. I attend their online courses. I read their books. And then if they're really worthwhile, I'll make the pilgrimage to go and visit them. And yeah, I've been doing that, and we're going to talk about it just now. My latest 2 trips I've done, I've been to Mexico, to Chip Conley, to learn more around this midlife transition. So I've picked up on aspects that I think are valuable, not only to financial planning industry, but also to our clients' lives. And then I will go and learn about it from the different people that are teaching it, because for me, I'm still one of those people that love the actual face-to-face interaction, and meeting these people has really not only made my career much more interesting, but it's also given my life this fullness of being able to travel and learn at the same time, which is something for me that's my ultimate.
Yeah, awesome. Kim, then let's get into the meat of the thing, right? Which is around midlife. And I guess, when we think about midlife, we think it's that day that you hit 40, the day that the clock turns 40 on you. Then you go like, okay, hello midlife, here I am. What have you got for me? But in the work that you've done and sort of the things that you've learned, when does it start? And does it have an end? And when is that end possibly? Or how should we be thinking about midlife in that sense? Is there really a date? I guess is the big question. Okay, at this age now, I'm in midlife. And is it just for a short little bit and then we move on, or how do you look at it?
Yeah, it is something. I keep changing when my midlife is. And now that I'm in my 50s, it's in my 50s. When I was in my 40s, it was in my 40s. So yeah, it's kept changing. But what I think is that we're all changing. We're living longer. So where midlife used to be and where midlife is now, where retirement is, where retirement was, is just so completely different, because we've pushed out our lifespan now to over 100 years, if we go with what we told of a 100-year life. So when is that midlife period? And for me, it's very much, I'm leaning more and more and more to being younger, because I'm watching people reconsider their life and recalibrate far earlier, and I'm seeing it last a lot longer. So when I with the work that I've done with Chip Conley from the Modern Elder Academy, we very much are leaning towards it, even starting in your late 30s and going all the way into your early 70s, because you keep reinventing yourself and you keep changing yourself. And if we can have this kind of mindset where we stop putting an age to it, and I think that's the important part. Like if we stop saying, oh, I'm old, or oh, can you believe it, I am 60, and instead we don't label ourselves so chronologically, because when we do put a label to ourselves, we either go we're young or we're old. We're telling ourselves those kind of messages, and we're changing our frame of how we see our lives and what kind of potential and what are the things we want to do, because we're going, oh, let's start slowing down. But why are we? I mean, things are different now. We're living longer. The way things were is not the way things are now.
And I think there's a lot of shall I say, myths around midlife. I guess how people define it for themselves or what they hear others say about it. Because we also it's a midlife, like it's not a midlife phase, it's not a midlife journey, it's not a midlife whatever, it is a midlife crisis, right? That is how most people talk about midlife. And I'm sort of keen, like, what are some of the common myths that is out there? And that you might come across, and how can we start to challenge those?
Well, number one is what you've just said. Midlife is a crisis. I mean, everybody you meet, the two words seem to go together. Midlife, crisis. People just bring them in together. And the reason it's a crisis is if you're not prepared to do the work. If you're not prepared to just take some time out and go, what's happening? I mean, what I didn't discuss when we were discussing, when I was saying what the time frame is, it is also our bodies hormonally changing. So our bodies are designed this way, where they do change, our hormones change, we feel differently, our priorities are changing. And definitely when our priorities change, we start to question ourselves. We start to say, is this what I want to be? Is this what I'm going to be doing? And then with this midlife, we have a whole lot of transitions that all come at once. It's not just one transition. We might get empty nest. We might change our careers. We might be changing where we live. So we're going through all these different transitions. And when we don't do the work, that's when it's this midlife crisis. But it actually is just a midlife is a recalibration. And if we can just reframe it to be in a recalibration where we pause, we reflect on what it is we want, and we reflect on the fact that we're now different, and there's ways of doing it. So that for me is the biggest myth, is that we say it's a crisis and we don't put in the hard work. And, we always see the pictures of the sports car, the new wife, whatever's put out there in our media. So that's not the one we want. And then one that I often feel when we talk about this is that we think our best years are behind us. So, we go, we've done all this. We've brought up our children. We've had our careers. But more and more and more, this midlife time is an opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves and to actually see that we can still have our best chapter yet. And that for me, as planners, we can really encourage our clients, and we can support them that this can be their best time yet. I shared on one of your shows before around the happiness curve, and the happiness curve shows that we get happier and happier after the age of 50. So why do we feel like the best years are behind us? And with that is our wisdom. We've picked up all this incredible wisdom in our lives, and now it's time for us to use that wisdom. It's not like it used to be, where we were doing menial work and our bodies were tired. Our brains are really collecting all these experiences, collecting even the emotional intelligence, and now we can be sharing it. So that's another big one when we think that our best years are behind me. The other one that I think is important to share is around change. So a big myth is that we think it's too late for us to make changes, and that we can't make a career change, we can't make a relationship change. You know what? It's too late now. And I challenge people that this is actually incorrect. And yes, we don't like change, and we'll stick to doing the same thing over and over and over again, even if it's not what we want, because we don't like this change. But if we can make some of the changes and the tweaks, it's when we can go and have a midlife that we'll turn around one day and not have regrets. Francois, you are going to share it at the end, but I did give you that exercise. It's called the suitcase exercise, and it's a great exercise that I encourage people to do if they're in this midlife period and they potentially are feeling some of the stuff that you and I are chatting about. And what this suitcase exercise is that I'm sharing with you is, if you're going into this next chapter and you're packing for it, now what are you going to take with you? So the way that the exercise works is a column for what you want to keep. So that's the stuff that's going to go into the suitcase. There's also a column for what you want to edit out, because I think what we've done up to now is we've picked up our baggage. We've picked up a whole lot of stuff, maybe, that we need to now get rid of. And the reason we're getting rid of it, so we list everything that we want to edit out of our life and all the clutter as well. And then the next column that we do is all the new things we want to try. So what are some of the new things that we want to try and bring into our life? It might not be because we want to be the best at it, because actually, you know what? We really want to do it because we're going to enjoy doing it, and it's going to add value to our lives to do it. So that's the suitcase exercise. Like, what am I keeping? What am I editing out? And what am I bringing in new? And in that way, it can help make this change feel not as daunting, because sometimes it's just because it's daunting, we go, okay, well, I'm not going to make the necessary changes I need to make because it's too hard. I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing. But when we can break it up in bite-sized pieces, bring it in the parallel, then I really do think it's more doable. So those would be my top 3 myths that I've seen, just getting us to think differently about this midlife transition.
Loving it. And Kim, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm convinced, but I might be completely wrong, and it's fine if I am, but I'm pretty convinced that there's a lot of people watching now that are going like, man, but I'm a financial advisor. My focus is, finding sort of what the client needs and making sure that we implement and sort of trying to hold them to those decisions. Like, I'm not, like you mentioned, like, you love psychology, you love all of that stuff, and you even started off there. And that's a big driver for you. But, a lot of people might sit here and say, like, what that, why should I get in, or why should I be the one to help clients through midlife, or, into or out of midlife, or during midlife, or whatever that may be? Why do you feel it is important for us as financial advisors and planners to actually play a role during this transition? Because this is quite a significant transition for a lot of people. And I think the funny thing is that it sometimes comes very unexpectedly, very quickly. It's another assumption.
So Francois, the big one to start off with, and why I think it's important, is because our clients come to us when they're going through transitions. When do they come and they find us planners? Or when they're going through a transition. But also what we do when we go through transitions is we make our worst financial decisions because we're quite emotional. So we really will. I mean, it's like the thought of sometimes like ending your career because you're not enjoying what you're doing, and the midlife hits and I'm just going to give it up. But if you don't take into account what that is doing financially, and you don't put a plan in place that you've got a way of replacing that income, you actually are sabotaging everything you've worked for up to now. So again, I'm never saying that we are psychologists. We're not playing that role, but we need to be facilitating the conversations. We just need to feel comfortable with it so we can facilitate the conversation. Because if the client's going through that and we put together, as you say, where we're comfortable, this amazing plan of what you have to do, we present it to our client and they don't stick to it because they're actually on emotional wreck, or they don't stick to it because we didn't hear them and they just felt like we were giving them a generic that we would give any client. And so for me, that being able to have the conversation is important. Don't have to be an expert on the topic, but you listening to the person and you hearing what they're going through. Sometimes we've got to challenge their thinking, because sometimes the things that they want to do are going to have a detrimental effect with their plan. And we need to show them what those consequences are. Plus, we need to say to them, okay, these are the things you need to do in order to do that, so that we can still make your plan work. So I'm not saying at all that we are replacing psychologists or coaches, but what we are, we're in this incredible position where our value proposition and our value add to a client can really be seen and felt broadly when we're comfortable to have the conversations and put the client at the center of the conversation and then relate it to how it affects their money and their financial plan.
And Kim, as we come to the end, there's so many questions I still want to ask and delve into. And but I mean, is there one particular key takeaway? You mentioned that your last trip was to go and see Chip Conley and learn from him. I think it was a whole week or something. Is there a key takeaway that has also now influenced your work that you've done since you've come back?
So maybe it's not even relevant to where I went and what I did, but maybe if I've got my last message to leave it's for us just to be curious. And by being curious, we are showing the clients as well that we're interested in them. And I think what we all often think is that we have to have gone through the thing that the client's going through, because we have to share our experience with the client of exactly what they're going through. And very much it's not that. It's just that we have the empathy. We have the empathy to be able to hear them and to listen and to actually take in what they're telling us so that we can personalize what we're giving them. And, you know, when we talk about that empathy, it's just that we know the emotion they're feeling. It's not that we have to have experienced the experience what they are going through. And I think that often puts so many planners off because they go, I haven't had that experience happen to me, so how can I talk on it? No, our clients are not asking us to be experts on it. All our clients are asking us is to be there so that they can feel seen and heard, and then we can design them a financial plan that actually relates to their life and not a generic financial plan that could apply to anybody's life.
Amazing stuff. Ladies and gents, if you want to get in touch with Kim, we've got all her LinkedIn details down below. So you can definitely find her on LinkedIn. She's also got a website. And also, let me put onto the screen just quickly, if you do want to scan the QR code with your phone right now, obviously provided that you're not watching on your phone, because otherwise that would be a challenge. But if you are watching on a TV or you're watching on, that's the most incredible thing. Some people watch us on TV, which is great. So we're massively big there in their living rooms right now, Kim. But do scan the QR code. If you can't, I'll also put the link down below under Kim's details where you can find some downloads. So you'll be able to find the exercise and things there that Kim mentioned a little bit earlier, that suitcase exercise. But all the details you need to get hold of Kim or to maybe have a conversation with Kim or somebody in a team, you can absolutely get in touch or follow her, connect with her, all that good stuff. So while I leave that on screen, just Kim, any last message before we say goodbye?
Just to say that part of on that QR code, I've also, I don't know if we can see, I have put a link to my new ebook that I've written. And actually, it's about the learnings that I got when I went to the Modern Elder Academy with Chip Conley. And it's this midlife recalibration. How do we turn challenges into opportunities? And I mean, you can download it, and it might just spark some conversation that you have with yourself, because we need to do this work for ourselves first. And it might spark some nice conversation that you can have with your clients that may be going through this transition.
I'm on mute, obviously. I see.
I was going to say, Francois, I can't hear a thing, and I know I'm the one that's always told that I'm not the tech guru. I'm going to, it must be you.
It's me, it's not you. But here we go. So, Kim, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I was just saying, like, it's people like you that's going to force me to make the show longer. But thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for sharing with us in the limited time that we had. And wish you well, and we'll see you back in your next money and well-being, or well-being and money segment here on the show.
Thank you, Francois.
All right. I absolutely can't believe that just happened. I apologize for that. I don't even know why I went on to mute, like, because I've got a whole mixing desk here on the right that I sort of press buttons on, and why I pressed the button, I would not know. Anyway, so thank you very much to Kim Potgieter. That was really amazing. And if you want to learn more, please do that. The other thing that I neglected to say actually was that if you go onto the PROpulsion platform, if you're a member, if you're not, if you join, you'll be able to get access to the full 6-week program that we did with Kim. It was absolutely amazing. She unpacks this in a lot more detail, and we look at all different kinds of aspects in that. So it was really an amazing 6-week program. So if you want to get access to that, you can. Even if you become a member now, you'll have access to that. So fantastic. So let's just look quickly at some of the comments. There's loads and loads and loads of comments. I like this because Mr. Frank Ogliotti is always swift in finding a quote. He quoted Kim saying, "I love reading, learning, and sharing." Thank you very much for that. So Ryan, you said you've got 11 months left. Hopefully by the end of the conversation, you've changed your mind, that there's no time frame there. David says he doesn't like to think about getting older. He's just leveling up because he's a gamer, so he loves that. Jonita says, I love the recalibration. She registered her FSP at the age of 50 and thought, like, now or never. It's either that or we do fried chicken at 63. So let's go with building an FSP. Jonita, I'm with you on that one. Carol, life begins at 40 and we're wiser. Those in their 40s have leverage of both worlds and need to use the power of this insight. That's brilliant. I really love that. Thank you very much, Carol. Then what else have we got? Let's see. Neil says, amazing insights, especially for someone in midlife. Thanks, Kim and Francois. It's a big pleasure. And righty, so then with that, and Des also saying, thank you so much, Kim. Valuable insights. Some perspectives are so important in our own professional development and for the benefit of our clients. And then lastly, Cindy is saying, I've learned so much from Kim here. Absolutely. So ladies and gents, we're a little bit over time. Let's do the draw just very, very quickly. So there you go. So there is the playbook. So the first one, hashtag playbook. So we've got 18 people in the draw. If you can quickly go hashtag playbook, you can still get in. Otherwise, here we go. We're going to do the draw. So the first book that we're going to draw is the Financial Advisor's Playbook. So it'll be, I don't even know if you can see the book, but let's do it. So who is it going to be today for the Financial Advisor's Playbook? It is going to be fantastic. Cindy actually took a picture with me and one of the authors, Louis and America, at the convention. So brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Cindy. That's fantastic. And then we're going to do another draw. I don't have a copy of that book with me here, but that'll be for one of Kobus Klein's books. So Kobus will be, well, we actually ask you if you win, we'll send you a link that you complete and you choose which of the 4 books you want. And then Kobus will be in touch to get that book to you. So let's do the second draw then for one of Kobus's books. And let's see who that is today. Harry Howell. There you go, Harry. Fantastic. Thank you very much. That's it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I know it's been a long one, but thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Be blessed. Well, I don't know. Stay blessed, prosper. I can't even remember my own words today. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.